Would you be an earthbender?
Well, that's a great question. I know I'm a waterbender at heart because I'll probably be on the ice and the blood bending too. I
I'm
ain't
about to say
gonna
the
hold
blood bending is like
you. I'll probably be a
top
blood
tier.
bender. I can't deny.
Top tier.
Coming to you from Crunchyroll HQ, this is the Anime Effect, where each week we bring you the latest interviews with amazing people from across the world of anime, from directors to actors, artists, and more, to discuss their work and their anime favorites. Of course, it's pop culture with an anime lens.
This week, we got to talk to Doc and Olu, who make up the Grammy-nominated Afrofuturist duo EARTHGANG. They are true anime fans and have created music for Marvel's PlayStation game Spider-Man 2. You may have played it. You may have heard of it. You may have platinumed it. Yeah. And their new album, Perfect Fantasy, just dropped recently and includes features from Pharrell, Gorillaz, and more. It was super cool. They are absolutely delightful, and they know their stuff.
Yeah, they were super fun to talk to.
And later, we'll be recommending anime from the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s if we want.
Yeah, we can reach into 2000s. Well, a lot of them run into the 2000s, like kind of the sweet spot of our childhood era. So...
yeah, I felt like I was reading like a Jack FM playlist there, like the hits from the 80s, 90s, and now.
We got them all. We got them all.
Plus, we'll be sharing our favorite anime lore.
I'm your host, Leah President.
And this is Alex Lebel.
And together, we're going to see just how powerful the effect of anime really is. There's a death in the family, you guys. Not only was I not having a great week... that's all I'll say. I opened up, my little iPad, this little baby right here, because I was gonna sit down. I was gonna play my favorite online game, really the only online game I play, and I received a message as I loaded up Elder Scrolls Legends.
Oh no!
My favorite card game, my favorite online game. They're going to be shutting down the server in January. I cannot explain to you the reaction that I had in my body and brain. Like, it literally was like, it knocked the wind out of me, because I've been playing this game since I was a teenager. Like, I used to play this at, my, bum college job, waiting for people to come buy tickets at the Performing Arts Center,
it's under the counter.
Yeah, I have perfected my decks. I've thousands of games, and they're shutting down the server, and it will no longer be accessible. And let me tell you, I uninstalled right there, because they were like, oh, everything in the store is going to be 1 gold, so you can explore everything it has to offer. I'm like, no, everybody's gonna be OP, and it's gonna be too sad, so uninstall. But yeah, have you ever had an online game lose a server other than Club Penguin or something?
I'm not the biggest online gamer, because I think I can game the computer if I'm playing the computer, but as soon as we get into the human element and it becomes unpredictable, I am not good. And I think the draw, the end point of that was, I played 1 game of College Football 25 online, and I had to rage quit, and I'm not proud of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is just not for me. I'm working. I don't have the time to dig into the lore of the frame. You can clip through the corner back here, or you can summon an extra power here. Yeah. I'm sorry for you. That hurts.
Yeah, they even still have the OG COD Zombies lobby still active. They got to get rid of Elder Scrolls Legends. Come on, y'all. It was sad.
It is sad. And because you quit, you couldn't print out your cards.
No. Yeah. And I don't even think that they have a physical game for this. I don't think that there are physical cards. If there are, let me know. I will be hitting up the nearest tabletop game center, and I will be playing.
Or now it's time for you to join up and play the One Piece card game.
Oh, I don't know. I'm still in mourning. I gotta load up to learn something new,
Yeah, you don't know if you're ready for another card game at this time yet.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go full into other things I already love, like D&D and stuff. So I'm looking for a group. I'm looking for a group.
Well, that is tremendously sad. But what is not sad is our conversation with Doc and Olu of EARTHGANG.
No, it was quite uplifting, yeah.
It's actually very happy, and we'll bring it to you right after this.
So we are so excited to have with us today Doc and Olu, who make up Atlanta's BET award-winning, 2-time Grammy-nominated Afrofuturist duo EARTHGANG. We are so happy to have you guys with us today. We are so excited to talk about anime and all your inspirations and your new album that just dropped. So let's kick it on over. We have a question that we like to ask every single person on the show. Take it away, Alex.
Doc, I think let's start with you. What was your gateway anime?
Gateway anime? So that's funny, right? Because like gateway could be anything. Like if I go like the furthest back that I can remember, I remember being at my grandma's house and Speed Racer would come on, right? So like that's like some like your grandma have the old channels type and it just be like almost like we really want to take it back to Gateway. I was like 3 or 4 watching reruns of Speed Racer. But
you snapped hard with Speed Racer. You just did. You just
exactly. Like, we really want to take it back. We really want to take it back. But like,
oh my God, Speed is the gateway. Because I was like, what is this?
Exactly. The crowd like having unified emotions, like the way he was always like battling with his father and his brother. All that shit was like way deeper than I really even realized. Like I said, we was probably like 3 or 4 watching reruns around that time. But the first anime I remember that I would say like was my gateway. Like I like anime now. I gotta be honest, man. I'm from the hood. Dragon Ball Z, bro. Like
Let's go, yeah.
Dragon Ball Z was like the first one I remember like going to school and kids talking about it, and I'm like, I didn't see that. I gotta go figure out what happened, like, and then, or just making up lies and acting like I saw it, like, because it was one of them shows, like it was just so talked about.
Yeah, it was on at such a weird time
too. And I was one of them
yeah.
kids that would like draw a lot in class, so like everybody was drawing the Saiyan hair on like anybody, right? No matter you draw your dad, you draw him with some Saiyan hair. He could be bald headed. You just draw him. You just putting the Saiyan hair on everything.
Yeah, that's awesome. Same question to you. Gateway anime. I know we were talking about Speed Racer, but
he blew my mind with Speed Racer because we really used to be watching,
right? It's a core memory.
Watching Speed Racer, like, yo, what's happening right now? This is intense. Every episode is so intense. Like, what's going on? After Speed Racer, I would say, Dragon Ball Z. It was Dragon Ball Z and Gundam.
Gundam Wing. Gundam Wing used to come on.
Gundam Wing was a whole nother level of like, and a whole nother level of technology that I was not even like privy to. Being from the hood, I'm like, yo, I don't know what's happening right now, but these robots are like going crazy. I need to watch this. So it was Gundam Wing and Dragon Ball Z. Very epic.
Gundam. I forgot about Gundam too. Gundam was actually one of them shows that like the animation style. I remember early thinking like the way they would draw. And hey, while we on the topic of anime, Sailor Moon, bro. Like all the ones
heavy too. You know, Sailor Moon, heavy.
Classic. Yeah. And like I was saying, like those shows were on right after school. So we have people talking about like, oh, I hopped off the bus and like ran to go watch that episode. It's kind of like very much a childhood experience, kind of first stepping into the anime world. So now let's take a quick hard pivot over and talk a little bit about your music and your inspirations, right? So you just dropped your brand new album, Perfect Fantasy, which has some pretty amazing features on it, from Gorillaz to Pharrell. What was it like collaborating with those music icons when you were sort of putting this vision together?
I don't know. It was kind of like rewatching your first anime shows for the first time as an adult. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are some of our most favorite collaborators, some of our most favorite artists and musicians. And, you know, we have those core memories of like the first time, like I saw the Gorillaz, like, feel good, dude. I'm like, damn, this, wow. First time I listened to Little Dragon's album, and then being able to like really make records. It's like when you hear the song that you made back, you're like, wow, this is like the first time again. You know, it's like really, really dope.
Yeah, it's got to be pretty surreal too, right?
Yeah, it was super surreal. Like I honestly can't believe those features exist. Like I listen to them now, and I be like, I don't know, man. Like I don't be in that place of mind feeling like I'm like hella famous or like hella got, you know what I'm saying, hella like bougie or hella like I don't feel any of that stuff. Like I pretty much kick it with my day one homies. You know what I'm saying? I call my grandma, like I don't really be doing like a lot of, I shop at Target, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't really be doing a lot of this stuff. But then I look at my resume, like, damn, I got a song with Snoop Dogg. I got a song with, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's intense. It's intense. It's very surreal.
Yeah. That has to be a crazy moment. So what was the actual collaboration process like? Like, who was coming to who with these songs, and like, where were you communicating the vision? Yeah.
Yeah, it was different for each record. I would say for like, for the Gorilla song, we did that, you know, on tour. We started that. Olu has actually started the beat years before we met them. And then, and we ended up doing that on tour.
Intended for them.
Yeah, intended for them. It's like, if we ever get around them, this is what we'll do. And we did it.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and we opened on 2 tours with them, post-pandemic years. And we did Australia and Europe, or we did America too, actually, because I remember being in Texas. We actually took tour with them for a long time. We were just hanging with the Gorillas for like a year and a half and made that song. And then we did the Little Dragon song was another beat that Olu led, and they came into Atlanta. Both groups we took to the strip club here in Atlanta.
So you got pretty close on tour.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
The Snoop Dogg feature actually came through one of our mentors, our musical mentors rather. I had made the initial song right when the pandemic happened, and they were like, you know who would really set this off? Snoop. And they sent it to him. He's such a pro. He sent it back like immediately. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like we had to like beg him. You know what I'm saying? Snoop was like, oh, I vibe it. It's happening. I'm Snoop. And then and he killed the verse also. And then the Pharrell thing was through that same set of mentors. They we went down to Miami and actually made a bunch of songs with Pharrell. Started a lot of ideas, which was surreal by itself. Like we grew up on NERD and the Neptunes and stuff. And so, like I say, all these sessions and all these opportunities really, more than anything, I was just surprised they said yes. Like none that our music isn't good, but just because the generational gap is just there. You know what I'm saying? Like these are people that I literally grew up listening to. So I knew our music was good, but just to see them enthusiastically participating in it is a dream come true.
Yeah. It's a pretty good sign that you're making some instant classics if you've got, you know, immediately all of these like iconic artists believing in your vision and your message. So yeah, congratulations to both of you on those.
Yeah, it's like when Gohan is fighting Cell and y'all are Gohan and everyone else that's features are like Trunks and Tien and everyone kind of firing and helping out.
Hell yeah.
And I guess on that topic of anime team-ups, I'm actually curious to hear a bit more about how anime and video games inspire your music.
From the beginning, we just, like I said, some of my core memories are just like anime, and even when I used to like create like my first beats, like, man, this sound like video game music. You know what I'm saying? It's like kind of like you just creating to be a part of that world. You create your own world. Like that's what anime like really brought to our musical style. It's like the music that we creating is for a different space. Like, yeah, we listening to it on Earth, but it's actually the soundtrack for these other worlds and these other planets that occupy like our creative imagination.
Yeah. Coming up, you know what I'm saying, playing video games and stuff, it expands your imagination. Like my brother said, it just expands whatever, like it expands what's appropriate for what, right? Like, cause you could be playing like a game like y'all know if y'all remember like the Mario 64 game. That was one of the like best soundtracks musically ever. Like, especially that second level with the water. He's like underwater. I used to listen to that little underwater level music on loop on YouTube just because, you know what I'm saying, it's just so well placed and so well put. And so it kind of like, it's like, why would they put a song so jamming on a level where you just swimming, you know what I'm saying, at Super Mario? Because it's like, well, what's appropriate for anything? Let's bend all these rules. So I think that's like where a good part of where the inspiration came to.
So do you almost picture a scene in your head when you're creating a track, or is it even further beyond that as more just an emotion?
I think it's both. I think it develops as you work on it, just like painting. Like each line shows you more what you was doing in the first place.
Yeah, that's awesome to see how anime is kind of, and video games are kind of getting the cogs turning and the inspiration that you guys now have. That's really cool to hear. And of course, speaking of video games, we have to talk about your song Swing that was featured on Marvel's Spider-Man 2, which came out to great success on PlayStation last year.
Yes.
So what was it like, you know, as avid gamers to create and then, you know, also then hear this creation that you had, not in just any game, but in a Marvel AAA game. What was that moment like?
It was a dream come true, honestly, to like be a part of that, be a part of the Marvel franchise, the gaming franchise, the Spider-Man franchise, all pieces that are part of our childhood. I feel like we hit the lotto, you know, and to be able to do it with our guy Benji also, it was just really, really dope. It was like one of those moments where in your career where you're just like, do I really get paid to do this? You know?
Yeah. I was gonna add on the cool part is that they sent us, so the scene that we're doing is like every video game has a scene where you learn the controls. We're doing a scene where you learn the controls. So they actually sent us that scene to watch while we made the song. So we had to, sign a little agreement and not say nothing, and then they sent it to us and we was able to watch basically just footage from like raw game footage, which I don't get to see often. So like to see like the raw footage from the game and like the some of the notes and stuff like that, I was like, wow, we like really in the process of the creation.
Yeah. Oh man, I didn't even know that. That's such a cool piece of information to hear, like that you kind of got to see behind. It's like a pretty heavy curtain. Marvel likes to keep things pretty close to the chest. So yeah. I think that just shows like how much they gave you like artistic control and trust in that process. That's really cool to hear. They definitely
trusted us. And I remember I was playing it on my computer while I was recording. I'm like just watching what they said. I had to do a couple of takes because I'm like, at a certain point, my verse is just what's happening like on the screen. So I'm just like saying it word for word. And they like, okay, well, don't just say exactly what's happening, even though you made a rhyme. I know the line in particular, I tried to like stack as many Spider-Man characters as I can in one line. So I'm like, I got the Venom, I'm down with the Carnage. I'm saying like all the stuff, right? As many things as I can. And they was like, Disney says no to all these characters. You gotta change that up. Yeah, they went through and put the red ink all over my verse. So I was like, all right, I'll be a little more abstract.
Oh, trust me, we know a thing or two about licensing.
So I know like all the villains. I'm like, I gotta say them all. Goblin, but like I gotta say them all, and they're like, no, actually, don't say them all.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it's so cool to like be a part of the creation, like you said, where it's not just the game is done, put a song over it. It's build this with us.
Yeah. And I bet it influenced parts of the game as well, like because the soundtrack is a huge part of that game. So
we've got another question about a specific song. LeAlec, who's one of our usual hosts, couldn't be here today.
He's actually in Japan right now. That's why he's not here.
Cool.
So that's pretty cool.
But he wanted to make sure that we asked about one of his favorite songs, Wells Fargo. He loves that song sounds like it's, I don't know, like it's tight on time and super chaotic, like a bank robbery. Can you talk about the creative process behind that song?
Man, that was done during one of the Dreamville Dreamers 3 sessions, Revenge of the Dreamers 3. It might have been 3 a.m., but we were all, just on the last of our supply, and we went out into the booth and was just like, man, let's just get in here and go crazy. It was me, Buddy, Jid, Guap Dad. Was it Guap Dad? Smino? Bro, I don't even remember. So many people. Yeah, it's just so many people. And when we came in there and just went, I know it's like one of those times. It was like a bank robbery. It was like a heist. It was like, we have to do this. You have to do this now. You have to do this and we have to do this now. And after we did it, we played it for like the team, and everybody was just like, man, I don't even know what this is. It has to go on the project. And once we dropped it, once we dropped it, like we would do it at our shows, and we would be like, oh, this is madness. Like this is yeah.
It's the chaos element, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think obviously it impacted your listeners. One of our co-hosts specifically wanted to talk about it. So definitely something that did get that fans are attaching to, though.
It's one of the best songs to perform, I would say that.
Yeah, it's super fun to do.
I was listening to it earlier, and I went from my sitting desk, and I was like, I got to stand for this. This is standing desk time. I'm ready to go.
It's so funny because like the desks in our office, you hit the button, it's like, so I could just imagine Alex like, it's time to stand.
Activate, stand.
Okay, but I want to throw you guys a fun one. If you could write an opening to any anime, which one would you choose and why?
Write an opening?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's good. Cause so many openings, I ain't gonna lie, so many of them are already so perfect. I would say, have y'all seen this show called Dead Man Wonderland?
I've definitely heard of it. Oh, you've seen it?
Yes.
Yeah.
it came out in like 2011 or 12 or something like that. But I read that it only did one season, and it was one of the few shows that made me go buy like all the manga afterwards because I had to know what the happened. And but that show, I would say, as much as I love that show, the one thing I don't remember is the title sequence. So maybe I could do a better one. But I just love that show. It's a good show, and I would have did a crazy little like Dead Man Wonderland type song.
Yeah, cool. Well, now our audience has one more recommendation to check out too. I got to check it out also. So
watch season 1 and see how you feel. It's really crazy. It made me, like I said, it made me go buy the books.
What would I do? I'll do Avatar: Last Airbender. Why not?
We got to get another one made by a Japanese studio. That would be so cool.
Yeah. I would do that. I would do that. Like that. I don't know. A lot of people like to hate on it. It's like, it's not real anime. It's kitties. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people just like, but it's fire though. Like, y'all kind of like.
How can you do a better intro than that though? Like, the show is great, but that's a
We're
good
just gonna
intro.
say water, earth, fire. Well, you guys Earth Gang, like,
yeah,
as soon as it hits Earth, yeah.
Earth is just us with like a blunt, like Earth.
Would you be an Earthbender?
Well, that's a great question.
I know I'm a waterbender at heart because I probably would be on the ice and the blood bending too. I'm
about to say the blood bending is like.
I probably would be a blood bender. I can't deny.
I ain't gonna hold you. I would have to be the Avatar. I had to be all of them. I'm sorry. I had to
do all of them. But even I'm saying you still start with one tribe and then you learn the rest.
Well, I would start with fire. I'm sorry. I would start with the fire. Like, this is a good place to be.
Yeah, it has the passion, the fiery nature.
It's a good place. They made it they turned it to a bad place, but it was a good place before that.
It was good on Korra, on Legend of Korra.
That's what I'm saying. It was a good place. It was a good place.
Yeah, Legend of Korra specifically, I love what they did with the blood bending. Like, it had this whole arc. I feel like in the original series, it was kind of just like a couple episodes that they touched on, like, ooh, like some people do this, but it had more of like a cool, insane arc in Korra, which I loved.
Hell yeah.
So we know which show you'd want to write an opening for, but if there was a character from anything you've seen that could join Earth Gang, who would it be and why?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Oh, for me, that's easy. One Punch Man.
No hesitation.
What are you talking about? For one thing, I feel like One Punch Man, I don't think Olu's watched it yet. That character is the most similar to how Olu actually is. He's so similar to Olu, it's crazy. And you won't watch it, but that's really, you should watch it because that's low-key you. But but my favorite thing about One Punch Man is how he like, literally how the monsters never stop getting bigger. And it's so ridiculous. It's like, bro, they get bigger and bigger and more dangerous every time, and he just knock them out. And he be bored with it. And they're like, that's my dog, bro. Like,
yeah. Another recommendation then is you should watch Psyche K because it's kind of the same, like, super overpowered character. I don't know if you've seen it, but
I love when character is too strong for the show he's on.
Yeah, we love overpowered characters.
Tell you, who would I pick? I would pick Hal from Hal's Moving Castle.
That's pretty
interesting.
I just feel like he would lead us on endless adventures.
I was about to say, the party would never stop.
And he has great taste.
Yeah. He definitely knows how to dress.
And he knows how to drive. He drive you from show to show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Or the tour bus. Hal's
tour bus, the Moving Castle tour bus would be crazy.
The Castle tour bus is crazy.
Yeah, no more bunk beds.
That's just practical.
We might need to call the tour the Moving Castle tour and just get sued. I'm with it.
That's a great idea, actually. I wanted to say thank you again so much for your time today. This has been a pleasure. We love having true anime fans on the show, and so it was cool to hear about some of your inspirations and what kind of got you started in anime, and some characters that you love. That's definitely our bread and butter. So happy that you could join us today.
Is there anything you'd like to plug before you leave us today?
Or any messages for your fans? What can we look out for?
Album out now. Perfect Fantasy is out now. A lot of videos and things to go with albums, rollout things are coming with that. The tour is happening starting next year, early top of next year. It's called Perfect Fantasy Tour. And to further notice, now it might be the Moving Castle Tour, but right now it's the Perfect Fantasy Tour. Tickets on sale in Europe right now, and then we will spin the block around the rest of the world.
And we have our show in Japan, December 5th.
December 5th.
That's
awesome,
album out
now. Perfect Fantasy.
And you guys are fresh off Mexico City, right?
Yeah.
Fresh off the mezcal.
For sure. That's gonna be me in a couple months, hopefully. Let's get that vacation
Yeah.
going. But yeah, again, thank you so much for joining us on the Anime Effect. We're so excited to have you. We are definitely gonna be watching out for everything that you've got next. Good luck on the tour, and thank you again so much for joining us.
Appreciate y'all for sure.
Peace.
They were an absolute pleasure to talk to. I really want them to come back on. Definitely check them out if you are so able to. But now I think it's time to jump into the recommendations for the week.
I think it is. And we'll start with Leon via our question form.
Leon
Thank you,
Kennedy?
Leon. It says, how do I hold more bullets? No, that is not the question that he asked.
How do I jump backwards off a wall for no reason?
Leon asks, I would like you to cover 70s anime, 80s anime, and 90s mid-2000s anime. I agree. I would like us to do that too. Not just the popular titles, but lesser known series that need more recognition. I'm a huge 70s anime fan. I'm a huge 80s anime fan. So that's a lot to unpack. Those are very loaded. I feel like I'm about to get to know you even better by your recommendations. So I don't know. Did you have one from the 70s that you were thinking of?
Yeah, so as we go back in the decades, like obviously they become more and more scarce. Like there are some that you really just have to either watch like fan subs of, or like they're in the annals of history, really. But I'm gonna pick out for my selection Rose of Versailles, which I think a lot of people know this anime in association with Berserk, because it's like canon to have been like some of the characters inspired Berserk. I think the main character's name is or one of them is named Oscar, and he inspired Griffith.
Okay.
And if you look at them, like they have the same hair and everything. Like it's just like Griffith in a different font. You can see in a lot of like Japanese media and culture, there is like a fascination with like French culture, and obviously Rose of Versailles, this takes place in Versailles.
Right.
Like it's very like Marie Antoinette, like that whole era of things. So yeah, I would pick that for the 70s, or the original Devilman Crybaby, which alert, it is not for the weak. It is like crazy. The English dub is hysterical though. Like if you want to just like brighten your day, go look at like go on YouTube and look up like funniest English dub moments for the original series. It's great. It's amazing. It's a masterpiece.
Well, I know what I'm doing after this now.
Yeah,
I'm gonna check that out.
So good.
I was immediately drawn to the 80s on this question, and one that I've started watching recently based on a recommendation from Pat from the band Drug Church, who I just interviewed, just out now on Crunchyroll News. Check it out. He has such a unique taste in the type of anime and manga that he reads. It's very different from a lot of the bands I interview, which were like, oh, I watched Berserk, or I watched Evangelion and I was sad, and so I wrote a riff. He really likes like exploitation style, like super bombastic and just big dumb fun. And Angel Cop is that, with like a dark undertone. It's very 80s. It's got the spy plot. It's got the commies. It's got super powerful cops that are like,
they loved stories about commies in the 80s.
Everyone's on motorcycles. Everyone's jacked. It's like
everybody has the coolest jacket you've ever seen.
And that's the thing about it, is it's just cool, and it doesn't require much thought. You can think about it and pay attention to it and dig into the story. Be like, oh, actually, this is a really interesting spy thriller. And then you can also just watch it and be like, oh, big explosion, and that's fun. And every character in it makes you want to do curls, and it's just wonderful. So I love Angel Cop. I haven't finished it. It's only 6 episodes, but everything that I've seen so far, I've loved. So thank you, Pat.
And so we move to the 90s. And here's the thing. Like, I think the 90s is really the definitive era of anime starting to, really in a meaningful way come into Western homes. Like, you're growing up on it, you're watching it as a kid, they kind of continue into the 2000s. And it's all the names that, you would think about, like Sailor Moon and Cardcaptor Sakura. At least those are like some definitive ones for my childhood. The Dragon Ball Z of it all, like all that. Funnily enough, I used to, I don't even know if I should say this, man. I used to watch a lot of like yaoi anime, like from the 90s, because a lot of it is like, there are a lot of good stories, but some of them are just like really funny to watch nowadays. Because like I was saying about Devilman Crybaby, like the dub situation just wasn't fully there, and so like watching it, it's just, it had a very particular style as well. I'm not gonna name any titles, just so I don't get picked apart on it, but yeah, I would say like I watched titles like that. I also wanted to, you know, shout out like Evangelion. I know that's like not what the question asked for. They're like, give me some niche. You had a great pick though. I want to hear about yours.
Yeah, so this is one that I watched again recently because I realized when I was younger and watched what little bit that I did of it, I didn't know what was going on. Yeah. Wait for my mixtape coming out soon. But a title that I wanted to call out is Serial Experiments Lane. I had to slow down on that one because it's a bit of a tongue twister. I don't know why, but it is
trippy,
profound, trippy, almost prophetic show. Like the way that it portrayed connection in the internet and online presence is way ahead of its time. It came out in 98 and you can watch it, and watching it now, I was like, wow, that is kind of what we deal with every day.
Yeah.
And I know I made it sound like earlier that I was flippant of watching sad shows and making breakdowns, but this is another one that has influenced a lot of my favorite music, where people are seeing the presentation and the overall tone of a show like Lane and wanting to capture that and bottle it and put it into a 3-minute song. And I can't praise this anime highly enough. And I think more people should watch it, because you probably watched it when you were a kid and you definitely did not retain what that was talking about. So watch it again.
It's very good. Baddies loved Lane. Baddies loved Serial Experiments Lane. But also some of my favorite anime movies came out at that time. Like Miyazaki was like really stepping on the scene in a real influential way. Like Perfect Blue, like that's one of my top 10 to this day.
Yeah.
To this day.
Yeah.
I honestly want, we could have a whole episode on exploring like anime throughout the decades and kind of how it shaped culture in that way. I mean, the anime effect. Come on. So yeah, definitely something I want to chat about more in the future. I think that'd be fun to dive into.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack, and a lot that we can realize on air shaped us to who we are today.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks for the question. You can send us more questions at got.cr/anime effect questions. Do not put the anime effect questions. It will not take you there. Okay, so we've got some recommendations now to jump into from the audience. So Cole wrote via our question form, Classroom of the Elite really took me by surprise. It has strategy, combat, romance, and survival all packed into one anime. Sounds like Lost.
Yeah.
Cannot wait for season 4. Yeah, this was one of the ones where we had to wait a couple years between seasons, right? It kind of had a comeback.
Yeah, and it was worth it, but I realized how much I forgot between season 1 and season 2 when season 2 came back. And it took me a while to relearn everyone's name. Great recommendation.
Yeah, thank you for writing
excited for season 4 as well. But are you ready to open up the mailbag?
Let's get it! USPS style!
Special delivery from Justin via our question form. Thank you, Justin. Justin asks, do you ever go look for hidden lore that hasn't been revealed in the manga? For example, in Bleach, there are 11 people who bear the name Kenpachi, but only 3 have been revealed in anime and 2 in the light novel. So this is an interesting question, and I feel like Bleach is the one where I did just this. I looked up like the history of the Soul Society and tried to piece together some of the predecessors of the core members, and it was, I don't know, it's almost like I put together my own rings of power of the Bleach universe, just trying to figure out like how old people were, who is related to who. Even looking back at some of the backstories, you start to get hints at like previous members of each of the divisions and how they know each other. And so I remember doing a big deep dive into the Bleach universe and then trying very awfully to draw those characters, and those will never be revealed because they're bad. But it was very
Yeah.
interesting. It was very fun to go down that route.
Yeah, this is an interesting question because from the standpoint of my own agenda of wanting everybody to be into anime, sometimes I love diving into deep lore and it's super fun and like it just enhances your love of whatever IP you're researching. Part of me is like, it's cool to the point where like if someone is like casually watching it and they have no way of understanding what's going on, you gotta just lay it out. You gotta just put it in the plot. Like you can't like expect people to like write a dissertation research paper on like the lore to even understand it. That being said, like I do love it when like a show allows you to like reach your own interpretation of some things and like maybe like, oh, your headcanon theory is what's true to you. You know what I mean? That being said, I do love diving into the lore of things that I love. Of course, I'm going to talk about it.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Like, for example, there was like a short comic that Yusuyama used to put at the back of like certain volumes where it was like a high school alternative universe called the High School Cast, and they ended up actually getting a cameo in the final season, or I think it was like one of the final specials. Yeah. Man, I can't remember which is which, but and like they actually are in like a sequence and they get like a cameo, and so it's like, wait, so like if you're saying like if you're putting them in the real canon, then that means that there's like all these alternative universes, and then from there like a bunch more theories grow. I love that. Yeah. But again, it's not essential to understanding the main plot. I love diving into like the lore and finding theories and all that. Sorry for rambling.
No, that was great. Like AOT is the perfect one for that because there's so much happening.
Well, you're playing detective for like the first 3-4 seasons, so perfect one. I know you and I we would love Attack on Titan, so we can talk about it for hours. But yeah, thank you for writing that question in, Justin. Keep them coming.
And that's about all we have time for this week. Yeah. But this was a fun one.
Yeah, this was a fun one. Shout out to EARTHGANG. They're super, super cool. Would love to have them on again. And thank you for joining us this week on The Anime Effect, brought to you by Crunchyroll and Sony Music Entertainment. Be sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and hit that bell notification. Oh God, that was awful. To never miss an episode.
I don't know how I'm going to follow that, but I'm going to try because the people need to know that the Anime Effect is hosted by Nicholas Friedman, LeAlec Murray, Leah President, and today, me, Alex Lebel. We're executive produced by Jonathan Hirsch, Joanna Clay, and Nicholas Friedman. Our lead producer is Kyla Carnero, and our associate producer is Zoe Culkin. Vince Garza filmed, and Zachy Peltz edited the video. Our head of production is Sammy Allison. Special thanks to Carla Solorzano and Tamika Balance Kolasny.
We will be back next week with even more anime, of course, so stick around till then.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
There's nothing you can do about it. Bye! Bye.